Cinnamon donuts. Do you enjoy a good old-fashioned cinnamon donut? Come along with me and I'll show you how to make them quick and easy. Let's go. Hi, Musa here from Quantum Home Improvements and Solutions. Welcome back. So today I'm going to show you how to make donuts. But before I start, I have to wear my apron, which my wife bought me. I think she was mocking me. Musa, Donut King. I'm sure she's mocking me. Okay, now that I've got my apron on, I'd like to talk to you about the donut mix. So I looked far and wide for a good recipe, but I couldn't find one. And so then I reflected on my past when I was a member of the Rotary Club of Bateman's Bay. And we used to have a donut van and make donuts for fundraising and then donate to charity. So then through my business, I opened an account with Bidfood for a similar reason. And so the cake or the donut mix that they had was Bakels. They also sell the White Wings brand. So I tried both and I magnated more to the Bakels brand. So Bakels started off as a family business back in 1904 in Amsterdam, and they've now grown all around the world. And so they have a plant here in Australia, which they source the ingredients both locally and from overseas. And so I buy it in a 15 kilo bag, and I bag them in a 1 kilo usually. And then going by the ingredients, you just add 570 ml of water to every kilo. And so it's as simple as that. You just add water. Very easy. As the old saying goes, if it ain't Dutch, it ain't much. So the cinnamon I buy is a 1 kilo bag and it's ground cinnamon. And I mix that cinnamon with caster sugar. And the ratio is 4:1. So 4 parts caster sugar and 1 part cinnamon. So the brand I use is Caterers Choice. Now also I buy this through Bidfood. It is a lot easier for me to buy all my ingredients from the one place, and I get a fairly good price when I do that, and I buy it in bulk. So with the cinnamon, I mix it in a container. So 1 part cinnamon, 4 parts caster sugar, and then I place it in this little container. So the next thing I'd like to talk to you about is the oil that you fry the donuts in. So I use Seafrost cottonseed oil, and once again I buy it through Bidfood. Now this is cholesterol free. Now the reason I use the cottonseed oil, first of all it's recommended. Second of all, it has a higher boiling point, which means that your oil doesn't burn so easily and you can put it at a higher temperature. And I found that it actually absorbs in the food less. So you're only using about half the amount of oil that you would usually use if you used just a standard vegetable oil, which is what I started with, and I didn't have a good result. The donuts were very soggy with oil. So this is a really good oil, performs really, really good. So I highly recommend it. The next thing to talk about is the donut dropper. So this donut dropper is what I use to make the donuts. And so once the cake mix has been mixed in, you put it inside and then it flows to the base. And then you just press the handle, you would wait for the cake mix to come down, and then you let go and it extrudes into the oil. And so, and you've got to make sure that you keep it low, close to the oil, not on the oil, but close, so it doesn't splash back at you. And it also comes with a stand. Now I bought this donut dropper through eBay, and it was about $107 and very well worth the money. And there are some cheaper versions. I did buy a cheaper plastic version around about $10. It was very small, hard to get the cake mix inside, and it didn't work so well when you put the spring-loaded handle down. The mix didn't come down so easily because it was so small, and it only made very small donuts. This has 6 settings, so you can actually change the thickness of your donuts depending on your desire. So, also, just while I remember, you cannot put this in the dishwasher. You need to wash your donut dropper as soon as you're finished with it in hot water straight away, and just get that mix out of there, and then you just sponge it down. And this donut dropper is made from food grade aluminium. Okay, so we're ready now to make the donuts. I'll just break open the bag. I get my 570 ml of water and basically just drop it in. And just gently mix it in. If you go a bit fast, it's going to splash everywhere, so you just take it easy until all the water's absorbed. So I scrape down the edges. Just make sure I get every bit of that and mix it in well. So I mix it in for about a minute or so. So then now, I'll just leave that for 10 minutes and then mix it again. Okay, so while I'm waiting for this cake mix, I'm just going to set everything else up. I'll get the oil ready, pour that into the pot. So I use 2 litres of oil and I set the temperature at about 190 degrees. That's what's recommended for these donuts. Sometimes I have to drop it a little as it starts warming up. And if you're not dropping your donuts into the oil, even though it's 190, it does build up a bit of heat. So if you're not using the oil, just drop it down a little bit, and then as soon as you start using it, put it back up again. Okay, so I'll put these gauzes in place. I use these to put my donuts on as soon as I take them off the oil because it allows the oil to drain from the donuts and just really makes a nice donut. I'll get the trays ready. So with the cinnamon, I'll place that into a dinner plate, just anything that's flat really, and just fill up. Okay, so everything's ready. The oil is nearly at its temperature. I'll just mix this donut mix again. Beautiful. It's looking really, really good. And geez, it smells nice. So I scrape down all the edges, scrape the base, make sure I get every bit of that cake mix. I'll just let this sit for a couple of more minutes and do it again, just to be sure that this has been mixed really, really well and to make it as soft as possible. Okay, so I let that sit in for a few more minutes and just mix it one last time. Okay, so you can see a nice gloss and a shine, and so you know that it's mixed in really, really well. And so now it's time to pour that into the donut dropper. And you've got to be very careful doing it too, because you can make a mess pouring into it because it's very, very gluggy. Okay, so the oil is hot and the mixture's ready, and so we'll go over to the oven. All right, so then I get the donut dropper, squeeze the handle, press it all the way down to get my desired thickness, wait for the cake mix to come down, and then put it close to the oil, not on the oil, but close, and let it go, and it just drops straight into the oil. Now, they don't take too long to cook either. So what you do, just keep looking at them, turn them around. So I usually cook probably 8 at a time. I try not to make them too dark. This one here is probably on the dark side, but I'm just getting the oil adjusted. Keep checking underneath. That light golden colour is what I'm looking for. So this one here is just a little bit dark. I just drain the oil a little bit, place them on the gauze and let that just sit and drain. So you can play around with the temperature as much as you want. But on this oven, I've got it on number 8 out of 12. Sometimes I have to adjust it to about 8.5, 9. It depends on your oven, really. So the more cake mix you've got in the donut dropper, the faster this goes because of the gravity. So as it starts to empty out, it becomes a little harder, or you have to wait longer for the mix to come down. And I do tend to tap it a bit. It helps it go down faster. So you can see on top when they're getting ready to turn, you can see they start bubbling up, sort of similar to pancakes actually. So I just keep looking underneath when I see the colour is right. If they cook too fast, you know the oil's too hot, and just drop that temperature. Should take roughly about a minute to cook them. So when we get to roughly about 24 donuts, we then start to roll them in the cinnamon. The reason we don't do it earlier, because the oil is too hot and it just dilutes it. But you don't wait too long because it won't stick at all. So roughly when I get to about 24. So I'll get Mariah to start now. And Mariah neatly places them onto the tray. So as the mix goes lower and lower, you do have to just scrape down the walls a little bit and just push that mix in to the middle. So my girls help me and we work as a team. I do the plunging of the donuts, and my girls do the cinnamon, and just also just doing the distribution on the wire gauze as well. So I can place more on there. So it doesn't take long to make a kilo or 50 donuts. Usually takes around about 20-25 minutes of cooking time. So to make this process a little faster, I pull the handle down on the donut dropper and just turn these ones over, waiting for the cake mix to come down. So as you can see here, it's coming down to the bare minimum now. So now I'll just tap it a bit more. You've got to now just really tap it until it gets to the very bottom. Probably still got about 3 more donuts in that. So there's hardly any donut mix left in there. So that last one that came out was a bit skewed. So what I'll do now, instead of wasting the donut mix, there's still a little bit more in there. I just then squeeze the rest of it into the oil and just fry it all and give it to the chickens and change the leftover back into eggs. So now I'll just squeeze the rest in. So I'm always conscious of giving food to the chickens, not only to reduce our costs, but also to be self-sufficient. Okay, so that's it, all over. I'll take those 2 donuts out. So now I'll put this in hot water and get that washed out pretty quickly. And you can see underneath how messy that is. And so this leftover, I'm just frying that up for the chickens, and I'll place that into the chicken bowl with all the other food that we have as waste. $53 donuts in total, and they smell delicious. So taking in consideration the cost factor of the Bakels Donut mix, the Seafrost cottonseed oil, and the Caterers Choice Cinnamon, and also the caster sugar, it costs roughly about 15 cents a donut, which is really good value, especially if you're catering for an event. So I'd like to thank Bidfood. They are a great company, very easy to deal with, and they made this all possible for me. So I hope you're happy with the content of this video, that you got something out of it, and I'd ask if you please consider to subscribe and hit the like button, and I'll see you guys on the next one.